I want to talk about the Brock Purdy contract situation. Brock Purdy is up for a contract extension as he is entering the last year of his contract. Now, Brock Purdy will not have a fifth-year option exercised by the San Francisco 49ers. That is only for first-round picks. Brock Purdy was the last pick in the NFL draft going back a few years ago. And since then, Brock Purdy has saved the jobs of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Let me explain. But we have to go back to 2021. During the 2021 NFL draft process, the San Francisco 49ers did not just trade one or two. They traded 3 first-round picks in order to draft Trey Lance. And there was a lot of reports at the time that they were 50-50 on Trey Lance and Mac Jones. Ultimately, they went with Trey Lance. You traded a lot of draft capital for this young quarterback. He only played one game in his last season of college because of the pandemic situation. But before that, he had a solid season with North Dakota State. Many viewed him as a raw prospect with high upside. Kyle Shanahan wanted a quarterback that could go out there and be a dual threat in his system, that could run the football, push the football deep down the field, and basically make use of the weapons around him like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. This is before they made the trade to bring in Christian McCaffrey, but you still had Jimmy Garoppolo as your starting quarterback. It was time to move off of Jimmy Garoppolo. They went to a Super Bowl. They lost against the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they were up in that game. And remember that Super Bowl later in this video. But they felt like that they have reached their ceiling with Jimmy Garoppolo at that point in time. It was just a matter of time before they moved off of him. Trey Lance would see the field his rookie season. He only played in a couple of games because of the injuries with Jimmy Garoppolo, which was another reason to why they wanted to move off of Jimmy, was because of the injuries and the inconsistent play at times. And Jimmy Garoppolo had a solid career with the 49ers. They traded a second-round pick to bring him in from the New England Patriots many years before. So entering year number 2, they gave Trey Lance first-team reps. He was going into OTAs with the starters. They were pushing him to be the guy day one. They went against the Chicago Bears. They lost that matchup. Rain was all over the field, but Trey Lance did not look particularly well. But you can give him the excuse. It was a rainy game. It was a bad matchup. Him going against Justin Fields. Justin Fields was also selected in the first round. Justin Fields looked better in that matchup, but hey, it's just one game, bad weather conditions. Let's go on to week number 2. Just a couple plays in, you will see Trey Lance go out there and break his ankle. He is done for the rest of the season. Now you have to bring back in Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in. They look like a top team in the NFC. You have all the weapons around them, the usual suspects, Trent Williams at the tackle position, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. You made a trade to bring in Christian McCaffrey. Everything is going well. Except for this. Later in that season, Jimmy Garoppolo will suffer yet another foot injury. He breaks his foot. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. He would be able to possibly return in the NFL playoffs, but he was done. So they had to turn to the last pick in the NFL draft in Brock Purdy. This is where things get very interesting. You didn't have much game film on Brock Purdy. A lot of people are saying he's Mr. Irrelevant. And many people are saying the San Francisco 49ers season was done. You have Trey Lance that went down. Jimmy Garoppolo, he went down. Let's see what Brock Purdy can do. Brock Purdy will go undefeated for the rest of the season. Go into the NFL playoffs. Dominate yet again. They will go all the way to the NFC Championship game. Now let's take a pause for a second. He never had first team reps, second team reps. That all went to Trey Lance. We're talking about a quarterback that was cold, coming off the bench, comes in and gets the 49ers to the NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, he would tear the UCL in his elbow. He'll be out for the rest of the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And yet he was still trying to throw on the sideline. It got so bad in that matchup to where the NFL now has an emergency quarterback policy. That's how screwed the San Francisco 49ers were. And they lost that matchup to the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of 49er fans felt like this. If Brock Purdy was fully healthy, they would have won that game and they would have won against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. We fast forward to the offseason. Jimmy Garoppolo is done. He goes over to the Las Vegas Raiders. They're done with Jimmy Garoppolo. He goes to a brand new organization. The fact that you have 2 quarterbacks on rookie deals, in Trey Lance and also in Brock Purdy. A report came out and John Lynch did confirm this just a couple months after the season started. Kyle Shanahan walked up to John Lynch and he said, I feel like Brock Purdy is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and I feel like he's better than Trey Lance. John Lynch thought that he was kidding until he realized Kyle Shanahan was not kidding. We would see the quarterback that they traded 3 first-round picks for be traded for a 4th-round pick to the Dallas Cowboys. They traded Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys for that 4th-round pick. And they're off to the races with Brock Purdy. Let's take another pause. If this was any other coach, any other general manager, and they go out there and let's just say they missed the NFL playoffs and Brock Purdy was not able to, if he was not able to pan out, they would have easily fired John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan because they both made that move. Kyle Shanahan scouted out Trey Lance with John Lynch, and they were all in on him, and he didn't work out. He was a terrible player. The Dallas Cowboys did not even use him as a backup. He was their 3rd string. He is now the backup with the Los Angeles Chargers. You could say that he wasn't ready for the NFL. At the end of the day, this regime, they drafted him, and he didn't work out. But they also drafted Brock Purdy. He comes in, he erases all those problems day 1. And in year number 2, Brock Purdy deserved to be an MVP candidate. The numbers that he put up were well deserving of that award. 4,280 passing yards, 31 passing touchdowns to 11 interceptions. And he did have 4 interceptions against the Baltimore Ravens, and not every interception is created equal in that matchup. There's a lot of times to where it was a tip pick going to Deebo Samuel. Wide receiver runs the wrong route, it goes over the middle of the field, goes for an interception. He's dealing with pressure. He did have a bad game. But when I look at those 11 interceptions, you could have easily taken 4 of those interceptions away from Brock Purdy. And Christian McCaffrey had a hell of a season. Give it to him. But Brock Purdy was still the quarterback, able to throw the wide receivers open, leading wide receivers up the field, making plays outside the pocket. He looked like a franchise quarterback in year number 1 and most definitely in year number 2. He played so well that they went to the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's take another pause. Kyle Shanahan, this is his 3rd Super Bowl. His 1st Super Bowl, he's the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. They blew that lead 28-3. That's the infamous Patriots versus Falcons matchup. He was the offensive coordinator, not the head coach, but he deserves a lot of blame. He did not run time off the clock when they were up big, and he put Matt Ryan in a lot of bad situations. Remember that Super Bowl I said earlier in this video with Jimmy Garoppolo? They were up in that matchup. Jimmy Garoppolo did throw a costly interception towards the end of the game, and it let the Chiefs back into the matchup, but yet you were still up in that game by 10 points, and you lost that Super Bowl. So we go to this Super Bowl right here. Brock Purdy looks phenomenal. You have Christian McCaffrey. Early on, it's a defensive slug out. But Brock Purdy's making all the routine throws. He's making all the big-time plays. He's dealing with pressure all the way through. Because when you look at this offensive line with the San Francisco 49ers, they have not played particularly well on a consistent basis. Trent Williams is one of the best tackles in the game. Besides him, you have a lot of problems with this offensive line until they drafted Dominic Puni last year. But yet, he's dealing with all this pressure. Brock Purdy's throwing the football at awkward angles. He's getting wide receivers open. And besides Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, you're having a lot of struggles with your wide receivers getting open on a consistent basis, especially Deebo Samuel. But they find ways to get Juwan Jennings a football to Christian McCaffrey. It goes for a touchdown. Brock Purdy did not have a costly turnover in that matchup. It came down from a fumble. And the Chiefs find a way to come back and they win that matchup in overtime. You can't blame Brock Purdy for that Super Bowl loss. I blame Kyle Shanahan yet again. Based off of this one decision. They go into overtime. The 49ers win the toss. They decide to go out there and receive the football. Why on earth would you do that? Not only did they just receive the football, they kick a field goal. So now you're telling the Chiefs, hey, we're going to go for it on 4th down. All we have to do is score a touchdown. And Kyle Juszczyk is on the sideline saying, hey, I did not know the rules in overtime. He said that in the mic'd up moment during the Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan was not aware of the rules either. Because when you listen to Patrick Mahomes, you listen to Travis Kelce, they were so annoyed with Andy Reid. They were so annoyed with the general manager because they told them every day leading up to the Super Bowl, overtime rules. Remember this. Remember, in the Super Bowl, if this happens, they have a chance to get the football back. Because the rules had just changed because of the Buffalo Bills and the Chiefs game a couple of years before. But Kyle Shanahan did not inform his players of that. And you can say that it is up to the players. That's true. But as a coach, you have to remind your players, inform them. Football is a fast-paced game. You have a lot of things going on. The same way that Kyle Shanahan is in the ear of Brock Purdy telling him to check out this play, go here with the football. You can do the simple things during the week. That's a part of a coach's job. And Kyle Shanahan should have done that. That's part of being prepared. They were not prepared in that Super Bowl, especially in overtime. They fire Steve Wilks. You bring in yet a new defensive coordinator. I'm saying all of this to say this about Brock Purdy. He is a franchise quarterback. He deserves to be paid a lot of money. He has went to an NFC Championship game his rookie season. He went to the Super Bowl in his second year. Tua hasn't done that. Jordan Love hasn't done that. Justin Herbert hasn't done that. And the same with Trevor Lawrence and Kyler Murray. All of those quarterbacks have not done what Brock Purdy has done so far. And we talked about him being in a great situation. Every quarterback needs help. And this is the one argument that really pisses me off when people want to say that Brock Purdy is just a system quarterback. You look at Patrick Mahomes early on in his career. He had a prime Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. You need help. He's still a great quarterback. The same with Josh Allen. He has Stephon Diggs, number one wide receiver. He has James Cook in the backfield. Had a great season his previous season. MVP. Look at Lamar Jackson. He has Zay Flowers now, Rashard Bateman, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Derrick Henry in the backfield. And he's always had a top 5 offensive line. You need pieces to win big in the NFL. It's a team game. But we're willing to go out there and make excuses for other quarterbacks, rather for quarterbacks like Brock Purdy. You look at Jalen Hurts. He just won a Super Bowl, and he won a Super Bowl MVP. Give him his credit. Look at the team that he has. A top offensive line. He has Saquon, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. You can make the case that's a super team and a great defense. We could talk about how more talented Jalen Hurts is. We could say that Patrick Mahomes is more talented. And that's true. They are more talented than Brock Purdy. But talent does not always make you great at the quarterback position. We got to see Drew Brees, very talented quarterback. He did not have the athleticism like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Josh Allen, like a Lamar Jackson. He's a Super Bowl winner. He's a Super Bowl MVP. Same with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was known for his accuracy and his touch. He wasn't able to run around and make crazy plays like Michael Vick, but he won when it mattered the most. And I look at Brock Purdy. He has won big-time games for you. If he was not able to play this well, they would have easily fired the head coach and Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, the general manager. And we could talk about the last year that they just had in 2024. It was a year from hell. Brock Purdy had a down year, 20 passing touchdowns to 12 interceptions. I'm not going to come on here and make 100% excuses for him. He did not have a great year. He took a step back. But let's just look beneath the surface here. Trent Williams missed time. Their best left tackle. They have offensive line problems. They've had offensive line problems since Mike McGlinchey decided to leave, and he was playing at the right tackle position. You drafted Dominic Puny. He was a top offensive guard, especially for a rookie last season. You need to bring in another tackle for when Trent Williams does want to retire, and just to bring in a right tackle to play alongside him right now to fully maximize the rest of this roster, to really help out Brock Purdy. Because for the people that are saying that he can't make plays outside the pocket, he can't make plays off script, yes, he can. He's just not going to run around and make plays in open field like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And how many Super Bowl appearances do those quarterbacks have? And I'm not trying to hate on those other quarterbacks. I'm just saying that Brock Purdy has been placed into some bad situations before, and he's made some big time plays out of it. Christian McCaffrey went down for majority of the season. He was dealing with Achilles tendonitis. As soon as he comes back, Kyle Shanahan gives this man 20 touches on the day. When you already had Jordan Mason and you had Isaac Guerrero, and you had more injuries to the backfield. He comes to the game against the Buffalo Bills. He tears a PCL in his knee. And I am worried about Christian McCaffrey long term. He's an awesome running back. But you knew about his injury history when he came over from the Carolina Panthers. They used him a lot when he was with Stanford, coming out of college. The man had 1,000 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards with the Carolina Panthers. You're not getting a running back that had little to no mileage on his body. And I look at Kyle Shanahan. He has overused Christian McCaffrey. He's a great player, one of the best players you can have in the NFL. But you can use a running back by committee approach. Use him in goal line settings. Go out there and use him in the red zone because it opens up your offense in that portion of the field. We saw them take a major step back without Christian McCaffrey this year in the red zone. Once again, Kyle Shanahan, the play calling wasn't the best, but you're dealing with injuries. But let Isaac Guerendo come in. Let him work in this system. Pretty much any running back is going to have good numbers in this system with Kyle Shanahan because it's a similar system that Mike Shanahan had. You could tell the great running backs from the others. Isaac Guerendo is no Christian McCaffrey, but he's very serviceable. He could easily average 4 to 4.5 yards a carry. Let him do the dirty work, and then you put in Christian McCaffrey when you need him the most. And you can run a two-back system coming out of the backfield. That's what made Deebo Samuel so intriguing for so many years. You could flip him in the backfield, put him inside the slot, can play on the outside. He was never a true number one wide receiver. He had that one great season, but he was so versatile. So you get those players back, I think that you'll be okay. Brandon Ayuk had a down year this previous year, even when he was fully healthy. And this is the same player that was complaining about his money. He wanted to go out there. He wanted to be paid. And he said that he made life hard for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Nick Bosa did the same thing. It's going to happen when you want to be paid. It's a business at the end of the day. I don't blame a player for going out there and wanting to be paid. You see how much these owners make off the TV deals, how much the NFL makes off the TV deals. We have the NFL streaming on Amazon Prime, Netflix, Paramount Plus, and they have their own NFL Plus subscription. This league makes a lot of money. They can pay their players. Once again, as to why they should not have a problem paying Brock Purdy $55 million or $50 million every single year moving forward. They can afford it. And you can kick some of that guaranteed money over into a signing bonus, kick the can down the road. Teams do it all the time. Take care of your quarterback. But I do believe the San Francisco 49ers are still going to be a top team in the NFC. You're going to be getting back Brandon Ayuk, who's a true number one wide receiver. We'll see how he looks off this knee injury. He missed some time in training camp. So early on, he wasn't having those great plays. But he was still having signs of him being a very good football player. They moved off of Deebo Samuel. He wanted to be traded. They traded him to the Washington Commanders. I've said this in the past. I'm not the biggest Deebo Samuel fan because when you need him to run certain routes, he just can't do it. He's an explosive player. He's more so of a gimmick type of wide receiver. He's a running back / wide receiver. Well, wide receiver / running back, excuse me. That's what he is. Very good in the West Coast system. But I look at Deebo Samuel. His best years are behind him. He has some major drops this season. The last 3 games he did perform better, but that's why you drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round. When I talked about it was a season from hell, before the season even got started, this man's dealing with shoulder injuries coming out of college. Give him time, give him some grace there. He also got shot by a punk kid that was trying to rob him. He got shot in the chest, and thank God that he's okay. He was able to come back, and he was able to give you some good production this season, and he missed time this year. He had 400 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. He is a he's a downfield threat, and he's a very good route runner. He's polished there. He averaged 13 yards a catch. He's going to fit in nicely playing alongside George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings would have easily had over 1,000 receiving yards if he did not get kicked out of the last game in the regular season. He had 975 receiving yards, 6 receiving touchdowns. And George Kittle, I can't say enough good things about him. He does deal with injuries from time to time, but he will play through those injuries. He had 1,106 receiving yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. A great tight end. One of the best tight ends in the NFL right now. So you have key weapons around Brock Purdy. You got to exercise him being a cheap quarterback for those first couple of years. This is a cost of doing business. Go out there and pay him. And if you want to say that he's a system quarterback, hey, that's fine. He fit the system better than Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo because of what he was able to do early on. And he will have his moments to where he turns the football over. Every quarterback does. Josh Allen does. Lamar Jackson does. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. It's a part of the sport. But Brock Purdy, you can win a Super Bowl with him if you make the right plays. And their defense, since Brock Purdy has entered the NFL, has not been as strong as it was with DeMeco Ryans and Robert Saleh. And speaking of that defense, let's get into it because like I addressed before, you need offensive line help. You have the key wide receivers down. Your backup quarterback now, funny enough, is Mac Jones because Kyle Shanahan was high on him in the NFL draft in 2021. He's also been a bust. But when you look at this defense, the defense has taken a major step back within the last few years. The last great defensive coordinator was DeMeco Ryans, who is killing it right now with the Houston Texans. He's a great head coach. But before DeMeco Ryans, you had Robert Saleh. He went over to the New York Jets. He was not able to work out as a head coach. I do believe he will be a head coach once again. But until that time comes, he's now returning home to be the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. Once again, shout out to Jed York for getting this thing done, and the same with John Lynch. Bring him home, because you're going to need him to work his magic with this defense. You lost Leonard Floyd. You cut him. Javon Hargrave, you cut him at the defensive tackle position. He dealt with a lot of injuries, and he never had the same impact with the 49ers that he had with the Philadelphia Eagles and how he had with the Steelers years before. Solid player, but he did not live up to that contract. You still have Nick Bosa, one of the best defensive players in the NFL. He hasn't been the same since DeMeco Ryans left. Still a very good football player, but I look at Robert Saleh. He more so focuses his defense on pressure, and he lives through that front seven. That's what DeMeco Ryans did. You look at Kyle Shanahan. Over the last 2 years, you brought in Steve Wilks. He was not a terrible defensive coordinator. He's more secondary focused. That's why Charvarius Ward had some of his best years with Steve Wilks, with his best year with Steve Wilks. And then you bring in another defensive coordinator, Nick Sorensen. Didn't really work out. He's still in the coaching staff. You go out there, you bring back DeMeco, you bring back Robert Saleh, pardon me. I think you'll be better off. You lost all those key names in free agency, like Deebo Samuel, traded him. Hufanga was a star safety early on in his career. He dealt with a lot of injuries down the stretch, and he was never the same safety after he tore that ACL. Leonard Floyd, like I mentioned before, he's now with the Atlanta Falcons. Dre Greenlaw, this one really hurts because Dre Greenlaw was a very good football player. He tore his Achilles in that Super Bowl against the Chiefs. This was also a problem. Not too many people talk about this. He dealt with injuries in the past. It was hard for him to stay on the field. But when he was on the field, him and Fred Warner, they're one of the best linebacking duos in all of football. Hopefully he has a successful career with the Denver Broncos. We'll see. But you have D. Winters. This is why you selected him in the NFL draft. Hopefully he can come in. He can be a very good linebacker. And you have Fred Warner. They ran into the Devondre Campbell situation last year. Hopefully he never plays another snap in the NFL, because he did one of the weakest things that a football player can do. They asked him to check in. When Dre Greenlaw was dinged up, he said, hell nah, man, I'm good. So Kyle Shanahan said, man, leave. So he left mid-game against the Los Angeles Rams. He said, I'm not coming back in the game, which says a lot about his character. But you have a lot of young players on this defense that can step up for you. Fred Warner is still there, one of the best linebackers in football. Jair Brown, hopefully he can be a very good safety moving forward. He's shown some signs in the past of being a very good player. You did lose Charvarius Ward. It's sad what happened to him and Trent Williams. They both lost their kids during the season. Charvarius Ward said that he was getting PTSD, that he just wanted to leave the 49ers area. He loved the organization. He loved the team. But it was hard for him to just stay in California with how bad things went down with him and his child. I don't blame him. He's now with the Indianapolis Colts. I wish him nothing but the best. But you have other good players in the secondary like Lenore, Renardo Green, two very good cornerbacks that could come in right now and give you very good production. And you have Trey Brown. We'll see what Trey Brown can do. He's a veteran player. He's 27 years old. I say all of this about the San Francisco 49ers. Whether you feel like they're still Super Bowl contenders or not, you have to go out there and pay your quarterback. That is where things have started with the 49ers since Kyle Shanahan has come over. Remember, his first year, he had Brian Hoyer as his starting quarterback. They've been scrambling for a quarterback for quite some time. And now you have that guy in Brock Purdy. Give him some more time. Protect him up front with another tackle in the NFL draft. They should really select the tackle with the 11th overall pick. Hopefully Will Campbell slides down, or Kelvin Banks, because if that's the case, you're going to be golden there. But I like the system with Kyle Shanahan. The West Coast system is one of the best systems you can run in the NFL. If Christian McCaffrey is fully healthy or not, you're still going to be okay in the run game. But I look at one game in particular against the Detroit Lions. You put Brock Purdy into a terrible situation. You have him throwing the football 12 times in a row. Don't forget about the run game for Kyle Shanahan. This was a bad season for him play calling wise because he let his team and he let his players down. But let me know in the comment section below, has Brock Purdy done enough to earn a major contract from the San Francisco 49ers in your opinion? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.